Florida State players aren't forgetting the historic playoff snow they experienced last year. They're actually still pretty pissed off about it. And that's a direct quote, by the way. In fact, they're using it as fuel in 2024. They're looking to get revenge, and Florida State defensive lineman Josh Farmer promises that Florida State will make the 12-team playoff in 2024 and prove everyone wrong. Now, both Josh Farmer and Pat Payton were asked about this, and they both had a very similar response. Josh said that the team was still pretty pissed off. They both said that they still think about it, that they will still be thinking about it even when they're 50, 60 years old. So even post-football career, that playoff snub will still be in their heads. Now, Josh went on to say that the worst part of it was that there was nothing they could do. And that really puts things into perspective a little bit. Obviously, through life, but especially in football, you're taught that hard work will pay off. You're taught that putting in the work, staying healthy, winning football games, especially going undefeated and winning your conference, you'll get a chance to play for more. And before last December, there was never a reason to believe otherwise. I mean, remember Cincinnati making the playoff a few years ago? Surely an undefeated Power 5 conference champion Florida State has nothing to worry about, right? So, I mean, of course, as a fan, I still think about it. I will for a long time, perhaps even when I'm 40, 50 years old. I know a lot of you guys feel the same way, but the fact that as a player, as a member of the team who just got snubbed like no one's ever seen before, now knowing there's nothing you can do. There isn't extra reps you could take, extra practices to get in. There's no weights you can lift to change what had just happened. I don't know. It was just really a perspective I hadn't quite considered before. I mean, Payton and Josh Farmer were key players on an absolutely elite defense, one that specifically got hot later in the season and was a dominant force in the ACC title game. I know J-Try went down, but the defense stepped up in a big way to make up for it. For all that work to come to an abrupt halt just because a few guys around the table deemed you less than because a guy on the other side of the ball, albeit a very important guy, got injured. I mean, as a defensive player, Josh Farmer and Pat Payton are two of the better players in the entire country. You can imagine how hard that was to swallow. I'd be pissed off too. I am pissed off. And really even Payton and Farmer specifically. Obviously guys like Jared Verse and Braden Fisk were crucial last season too, but when the snub happened and everything, it just fast-tracked their NFL draft prep. They immediately had something else to go on and do to keep their minds busy and still feel like they could accomplish something. The guys who stayed had to kind of just sit and soak in that snub and are very anxious for the 2024 season. Now on that note, Farmer goes on to say that Florida State will be making the 12-team playoff. He promised it. Now, I didn't think that was too much of a hot take until I saw some people poking fun at the statement, which is wild to me, but either way, glad to see them using it as fuel rather than baggage. I know Mike Norvell says that it's not a driving force for the team, that they're only worried about what they can control and what's in front of them and all that sort of coach speak sayings, right? Which I get. You want your team focused on what's ahead, and I don't take Josh or Pat's comments as not being focused or being too caught up in the past. But another thing you're taught in life and in football is to learn from your lessons. I mean, Mike preaches the response. It's all about how you respond. And I think taking what happened last December, learning from it, and responding in 2024 by making sure that you try to do even better, work even harder, ensuring that you do make the playoffs this year is the response you would want out of your team. Now, to that point, Josh and Pat were both members of last year's squad. But he says that it's the new guys that talk about it the most. He said a lot of the new players want FSU to get revenge even more than they do, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. I mean, a lot of these high school signees have been recruited by Florida State for years and developed a good relationship with this staff, and of course were paying attention to Florida State's on-field product last season. But the transfers specifically were being recruited in the month of December, which was like peak pain time for the snub having just happened. So, I mean, it was definitely fresh at the time. I think of a guy like Marvin Jones Jr., who Florida State did recruit out of high school, but also has family ties to FSU. I think of DJ's statement and decision to not accept his invite to ACC Media Days because he wanted guys like Farmer and Payton to go. He even cited the snub himself, saying that the team was more than its quarterback. You can feel the sting of that from top to bottom on this team. I mean, you really can. From returning players to newcomers, this thing is on their minds. And I don't think that's a bad thing if it is part of their drive in 2024 to surpass everybody's expectations and get a chance to prove everyone wrong. I think this is yet another obvious indication of the culture that Mike Norvell has created in Tallahassee. It would be very easy for the team to shut down after something like that. I mean, you've seen Taggart teams shut down after getting behind in a single ball game. Adversity can snowball if you let it. But to hear that even the newcomers understand the weight of this situation and are wanting to right a wrong that they didn't even experience firsthand, all for their brothers, that's a dynamic you want in your locker room, no doubt. That's the kind of love you want to see amongst your teammates. that's the kind of culture you want to see in your program. So there was a lot to take away from ACC Media Days, and I'm sure I'll have more coming out soon, but I definitely wanted to make it a point to jump on here, not necessarily to tell you guys something you don't already know, but just to talk about it, really, I guess. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully it's got you even more fired up for the upcoming season, which starts in just over a month. So off season is definitely flying by. If you enjoyed the video, if this did fire you up even more, and if you're still pissed about the playoff snub, definitely drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We're looking at 1,000 subscribers by kickoff in Ireland next month, but we need your help to do so. It really means a lot, and we'll be back with more very soon. So hit that bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. Catch you guys on the next one. Go Noles.